We have Solomon, we have Damian, we have a couple of people internally at Rank, and the majority of our conversations right now is we've spoken very briefly on design, and this is more tailored towards the actual brand design. But like these people work at the point where the design has been done. Now they're using the design as tools to sort of like solve the problems, both for the brands that they work for and the companies. And so majority of our conversations and questions are somewhat tailored towards if you're done with design, what next? Because majority of the time we have conversations around the design is done, but how do we ensure that this design is effectual, like it is actually working for the purpose that it was created? And so to kick off the very first question around branding, I'm going to be asking you specifically, and my question is exactly what have designers done that makes you not like them? And the reason I'm asking this question is because if you think about it from the standpoint of designers like themselves a lot and they believe that everything that they're doing is good. However, designers never really interface with, say, business, like people on the business side or finance side, that their jobs are tied to numbers. And so a designer can think that what they've done is cool because it looks cool and because all their designer friends said it's cool. But you know that that design is not converting because like you've tested it on Google multiple times. And so can you explain exactly what persona you see with designers that makes you feel like this person is not really great to work with, even though they might be great aesthetically from like a functional standpoint of just doing design?
Okay, so I think you even mentioned one of my biggest problems. Personally, I think that designers sometimes design for designers instead of consumers. At the end of the day, I know design is supposed to solve a problem, and you are designing to solve a problem. You are not designing to make your guys happy. I don't care about what other designers think. From a growth perspective, I want numbers, right? I want to give a terrible reference. Where's my CEO? Let me look at him first. If he winks twice, I'll go ahead because I want to mention a brand. Some of us have seen Ope's ad before, and you can tell how terrible it is. Sometimes, right? Because they cater to the mass market. Sometimes they don't look out for say top tier. They don't try. They are just very numbers oriented. Let's go to the market. I try not to be like that, right? From a growth perspective, because I came from a content background, right? And I understand the importance of a visual identity and what it is supposed to look like. But I think that sometimes designers miss the point of they tilt towards perfectionism and, getting these compliments from their friend rather than effectiveness, rather than this is doing the numbers. We've tested this worked. Let's go big on it, right? They come more from a creative sphere, and which is part of why I think is a problem. Sometimes I think that designers live in a bubble. Like they have their own universe, they have their own communities, and then they stay there. I hope I'm safe after all this, Sha. Like I can go home. you stop threatening me. Do your worst. I'm not lying. Leave your WhatsApp groups alone and come to the real world. Stop playing video games. Come to the real world and see that, this works. We need to do this faster. We need to, build on this and just stop designing for your friends. Design to solve a problem. Stop designing for designers. That's all I'll say. Thank you.
Thank you. Please put your hands together for him. Okay, so my second question now is for Damian. The question is specifically tilted towards when you're running campaigns, especially, say, nationwide campaigns, and you have to measure the impact of the work that has been done. What actual steps do you take so that, because part of the reasons why I think that designers might be in their own heads is because there's no tangible proof that qualifies if their work is good, aside the fact that their friends say it's good. And so I've worked at a company where, and I did this personally, where I was working at Bamboo, and I knew that there was no way for me to convince my CEO that I deserve higher salary, aside proof that my work is good. But now, when you're a brand designer, there's no tangible result that you can say, like, 5,000 downloads are because of me. It's not possible. So what I did was I put together all the screenshots of every single person that said, you need to pay your designers more. Your design is so great. I compiled everything into a deck and I presented it. And luckily, it worked for me. So my question is, how do you quantify design from a marketing perspective to the point where the designer knows that this has been a good outcome based off the work that has been done, and the not investors, like the stakeholders and like your bosses also can tell that this work is good.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I was having a conversation with Lekki earlier, pretty much about design, product, and marketing. And one of the things that I mentioned was how dangerous it is for us to think that brand design, product design, marketing are three separate things. Like, they're not. The entire point of what a brand designer does is to market a brand. And when people see a brand design, the way they then interact with a company is to use that company's product. So we're all communicating to the customer, but we're doing it in different ways. So like, for a brand designer, I mean, I really understand everything he said about designers living in their own headspace and all of that. For a brand designer, your mindset has to move from making great looking designs. I mean, bare minimum, that's expected. Your designs should look great. You made great designs, man. Thanks for making great designs, man. Your design should look great. But then you should also understand the business. That's like, especially when you're a senior. I mean, not start talking about like tags and all that now. Like, that really is what it means to be a senior, to be concerned about the business. You're making banners for social media. You should have a relationship with whoever is leading performance marketing to understand like how many clicks came from it. Like, that information shouldn't be coming to you. You should go look for it. That's the point. So the brand designer can quantify success based off of how much information he's taking as feedback from whatever he's doing, based on how customers are interacting. Because you make a really good design, and you have like only 20 people using it. Yeah, like you really don't, you can't like really say that you've stressed what you've built. You have to test your design at scale. What starts to happen, right? Like when you're running ads, you start to learn now, like you have to let go of all the things that are not important. Like you want people to read a message and get the idea of what you're trying to say almost immediately. So I think that that's really how it works. The closer the designer gets to the business, the closer they get to numbers, the more quantifiable the work that they do becomes. Yeah.
I see. A follow-up question on that. If you're working on, say, a campaign and it's not digital, and so you're probably you have a pop-up at, say, Unilag, and they built a physical installation for Child Egg. People have come, they've interacted with it. In that scenario, how do you measure it, knowing that you don't have clicks that you can say 5,000 people clicked on this and immediately? Because that same tangibility, if the designer comes to whoever is maybe managing that physical installation, how do they get feedback, or how do you advise they come for feedback that ensures that when they go back to design, like they're making important additions to whatever has been done in the past?
Okay, I like that question because like we have examples of that here today. Like there are physical installations. So for example, there's a board over there that you have to like draw faces and like sketch on. It's really simple stuff, but that's interactive, right? So if you're a designer, you made that, and at the end of the day, no one used it. Like the feedback is direct. You really don't need any kind of miracle or. So whoever made that board, they really great stuff. Cause yeah, I've seen a lot of people like go on there to like sketch random stuff. I was even laughing about some of the sketches with my friends. So again, with physical installations, I think genuinely it really is just about being honest with yourself, like intellectually, really. So if you made a banner that is supposed to make people interact with it, if people don't interact with it, even if your friends told you that this banner was like the best thing since jollof rice, like the goal was for people to come and sketch on it. So if people don't sketch on it, then you've gotten the direct feedback that you need for the impact that your work had. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So what you're saying in essence is that designers should not consider their handoff as the last stage of
Exactly.
the design. Like
Exactly. It continues beyond that, like way beyond. The business is really what counts. Like, understand the impact that your work is having on the people that you're building for. So, just like he said, you're not building for other designers, right? Like, I mean, you can't do that too, because it's good to get hype from your friends. I mean, that's good. Helps the ego. You need your ego to like do stuff. But you also have to be really clear on why are we actually doing this thing? Like, why is this happening? Like, what is the point? And I think one of the reasons why I sort of always push this idea is because I've been lucky enough to play in all three spaces. I've been a product designer, brand designer, and now I lead marketing. So, I mean, it took a while for me to, when I got into being leading marketing, I now start, okay, this is, yeah, I get it now. Like, this is why we always have that sort of rift between marketers and designers, because one person is designing without really wanting to connect, but you always have to make that complete cycle, always. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Please put your hands together for him. Something else that I would like to add is that I've also been in this kind of situations whereby I'm a designer, but I made sure, for example, I was logged into all the social media accounts of when I was working at Bamboo, and it was because if I finish a design and they post it, I'm the one that sees the feedback. Like, so if someone says this thing is terrible, I see it first before head of marketing comes to tell me that this thing is not working. So if more people have that kind of, I'm a part of this till the end, there's a higher chance that, for example, when I was designing decks and I was working on Series A and Series B decks for, I think, Bamboo, Helium Health, and a couple of other companies, I realized that the people that read decks read them under, say, 20 seconds. So you can work on like an 80-page deck, and the person that's going to invest $100,000 in your company is going to see it when he's on a flight to Lagos. And so he's just going to open his phone, scroll through, and see everything. So if your font size is not large enough, he does not see anything, and he will just, like, and that's the end of the entire thing. So I think it was Goki that was explaining to me that your design might be cool, but like this font needs to be large. You need to show them we've done $25 billion in revenue. Like, it needs to be clear. And so having that kind of continuous relationship with the final end user to the point where you get feedback is also very important. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, go on.
So
Mike.
I struggle with. So, if it's fine. If we start to see design as not art and science, I think it becomes clearer how it should be approached. Yeah, as a scientist, I'm not designing with probability. Yeah, I have acne. I'm buying salicylic acid. I do skincare, so I know these things. Acid, it has to work. The impact is not, maybe some people, the pimples will come left or right. No, the pimple have to go. When you approach design as science, the outcome is already premeditated. I want people to go to this board and draw this thing like this. I imagine that when people are drawing, many people are going to go there at the same time. It's going to be packed. How do I design the experience that these 5 people can draw at a time? Mm-hmm. So it's not happening randomly. Mm-hmm. But if you think of design as art, then it's open-ended. You can't really measure if it's working or not. It's not become subjective. My boss thinks it's fine. His wife thinks it's not fine. Mm-hmm. Do you get what I'm saying? Again, I made a tweet in response to something you said. I said, if beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, something in that lines, then anybody has a say over your design. And I feel like, I don't feel, design is not you'll come to me. Design is not, I'm not trying to use the wrong, I'm trying to use the exact word. Design is not, let me not say a noun, it's a verb. And it's not a verb, I'm designing it. Design is in continuation with the person that is engaging with it. So you have done your part, and now it's in the world for the people that you have your co-designers to complete the design process. So it's like a tight feedback loop. Okay, I've done this thing. Let the next person go and design, continue this. But we see them as users, but they are co-designers. So I've designed this thing. Let them engage with design like this. So it's like cyclical in that sense. Just wanted to add that.
Thank you so much. Please hold on to the mic. I have a follow-up question. So with respect to, and this is a conversation that I think has been happening quite a number of times, where because everything that can be made already is on social media and is probably done with AI, there's now the need for physicality and tangibility. So my question to you now is, if brands are considering that brand design is like designing the actual brand from a UI and product design standpoint is ground zero, and then ground one might be translating that brand into physical, tangible spaces. And so what's your advice towards ensuring that this brand moves from digital, like on my laptop, into physical spaces and people still engage with it in the same way you assume that they engage with it on social media?
I mean, maybe, first of all, the assumption that they will engage with it the same, maybe shaky. It's going to be different. Because on Instagram, you can only just like, comment with heart emojis and share on your thing. If you make a poster on the wall, someone can tear it. Feedback is infinite. Can you ask the question again?
So how do you ensure that what your goal for social is somewhat translated into your goal for physical? In the sense that if, for example, this event happened or did not happen, some people would see it only on social media. Probably more people will see it on social media than people that are in this room. Mm-hmm. And so how do you ensure that the brand that people get to know from social media is equal to the brand that they get to see in real life? For example, the Nike I have in my head is somewhat similar to the Nike I see in Nike stores. But sometimes let's say a banking experience I might have at a physical location might be different from the one I have at an app or on an app. So like, how do you unify this like digital to physical?
I mean, I don't think I have the answer to the question, but I would say this. So brands play like different markets, like infinite market, financial market, capital markets, consumer markets, cultural markets. I think that experiencing something in real life feels more cultural than digital, because what you find on social media is very made up. When this event is going to be posted on Instagram, nobody's going to share that Jordan didn't sit because he didn't have a chair. Oh, I like the way the monitors stood. Do you get what I'm saying? But physical experiences feel more cultural, more community. If you listen to Wizkid's album, for example, and you attend this show, I fall in love with artists more when I attend their shows, because you feel the energy, they sing, they pour water on your face, they come late, and all that stuff. But yeah, I think the goal is slightly different, yeah, in how you're trying to engage. Social media feels like more consumer market facing. How do you convert consumer to give you a second look? But if you're already here, you're not giving me a second look, you want to be here. It's more like a community. It's very cultural. We're trying to build like an ecosystem of people that love the brand, that get value from the brand besides just send money, buy airtime. Do you get? I mean, we're not selling. So it feels more cultural markets directed than consumer markets.
Yeah. I also even want to add that even for how that is done is there's a very big intention behind the plan. It's somewhat, I would say, even engineered to give you that feeling. Now, every single customer touch point is taken note of, right? Because it impacts how they feel. Things as little as even who we employ, for example, right? We say that we are very focused on community and making people prosper. It would be against what we stand for if you employ people that are very nonchalant by themselves inside, when we even speak to people on interview, aside knowing your work and knowing what you do, we look out for some of these traces, right? Now, what you would experience with people that work with us, what you would experience from as little as our push notifications, from emails, from places that people would forget to even check. Every single thing for us is intentional and engineered to give you the same feeling. So when you meet us offline, online, middle line, we're the same, right? You can get the same feeling because the same intention is put behind everything. And you would even see this when Joseph comes on with the presentation with the rest of the design team. You see how much intention goes into as little as taking a picture, as little as sending out a tweet. There's so much thought behind every word because we are looking to make you feel some type of way. And that feeling now becomes a universal guide across all our touch points.
Thank you so much. Please put your hands together for
No,
me.
not to drag it too far. Sorry. So, sorry for cutting your applause short. So, I really like Cash App. You know we love Cash App. So, whatever you think you know of Cash App, yeah? Okay. The experience you see on Cash App's Instagram is nothing compared to the physical experience. I mean, not to be polemic, I think that it's two different things. Yeah, the goal is very different. The goal cannot be the same. What I'm trying to communicate to you on social media and in person cannot be the same. You can try, but it's going to be different. Obviously, Cash App has pop-ups where they are doing flower pop-ups. They have pop-ups where they're doing like the most random things, baking. They send money back and forth. But the Cash App you find online is very. They don't even post those photos. Like you think you know Cash App. How do you search for that? Go on your search, find Cash App. Don't check this thing and find their hashtags. You see a shit ton of events that's happening across random things. The budget that those guys have for stuff is wild. So again, I'm saying that to say that you cannot get that experience from social media. I don't know if it makes sense.
Yeah.
We can try. I don't even think we should be trying to do that. I think every platform should have LinkedIn and Instagram and Snapchat. They are platforms. But if you post the same thing you post on LinkedIn, on Instagram, the response is different by default. So spaces, they're not neutral players in how things are read.
Yeah.
Just what I'm saying. They're like, basically.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Leke, I wanted to ask this question. It was some of the follow-up. The question I was asking regarding marketing. And so it is, I've had this experience, and I think a lot of designers might have had this experience, when you're working on branding, but it almost feels like if you're not a well-rounded designer, you're working on it without the context of it's going to be in a product. And so I remember one time working on, I think, an icon system. The icons look great because they told a very cohesive story. But it didn't look great on product because it was a whole lot of like back and forth. We really liked the icons. And so we put it in our, director's version. But like the actual brand did not use those icons. We had to create another set of icons for them. And it has happened a couple of times where the vision you have from a brand standpoint is somewhat different from what the product designer has. It might not be different from what the company has, but like the product designer or whoever is leading product has an agenda that might not exactly align with the agenda that the brand design team has. So how do you ensure that you unify all these things, or you ensure that whatever the brand design team is handing over to you, you're actually going to use it, not that they have a color palette of 45 colors and you just know I'm using just orange and anything anybody wants to do, that's their business?
Okay, so for us internally, it starts from the type of designers we hire. We don't believe that a designer is just a type of designer. You are not just an illustrator or a product designer, right? You are a designer. You should be able to do a lot of things but have your niche, right? Not that we expect you to do everything, but it just helps in communication, conversation, and being able to empathize with what the other designers are going through. So it starts from there. And then the next thing is actually making sure that they work together. So in our team, Joseph and Ebuka, it got to a point that I had to tell them, guys, you guys will have to, if the meeting is going to take 8 hours, I don't really care, but you have to figure this out. Because the expression we have for the brand is looking so beautiful, but what we had on the app, in terms of the designs that were being shown, that it was good, it was beautiful, but it was not aligned with each other. So having designers who are conscious of the fact that, you can be a product designer, but it doesn't stop you from being interested in brand, from being in illustration.
Should be interested. You should be. You should be.
Yeah, you should be interested in all those things and be able to also speak their language so that the communication between you as a product person and a brand person is seamless and smooth. That's really been what has helped us out.
Thank you very much. Damian, I have a question that's going to lead to the question I'm going to ask Solomon. So when you're working on, let's say, a campaign, I'm trying to put it in context. Let's say Valentine's Day. So there's a campaign that Chowdek is running for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Now, can you walk me through what the process is? And the reason I'm asking for this process is, at what point do you brief the designer? And at what point is the designer's input completely irrelevant? Or is there any case where the designer's input is irrelevant? And so strategy or business says we have to deploy this, and you're already thinking, okay, we have a $20,000 budget. Out of that, we have $10,000 for promotion. So we have $10,000 to execute whatever we need to promote. At what point do you bring the designer in on, okay, we've thought about strategy. We're going to say Child Deck Valentine 2026. Is it that point that the designer now knows, okay, this is where I have to work? Or do they know from the beginning that we have a $100,000 or we have a $20,000 budget and we have to, at what point does the designer come into play? That's my question.
Okay. Obasha, are you here? Is he here? Is he still here? Or is gone? Okay. So, at Child Deck, for example, the thing, what I was saying earlier about design not being disjointed, we take it really serious. So there's this running joke like I have with some of my friends about why I have this sort of beef with agencies. So Jordan is, yeah. And it is this mindset of designers expecting a brief. You know, wait for a brief. Yeah, that's not how we work in a company. They're two different things. You're allowed to wait for briefs at agencies, great stuff. At the company, you don't wait for anything, except you don't value what the company is doing. Like, if you care about what that company is doing, you don't wait for anything. So Valentine is February 14th every year. It doesn't change. What separates, again, senior designer is not, I've been designing for 10 years. It's not my designs look great. It is how much of my work impacts the business. That's the mindset of a senior designer. So February 14th, Valentine's Day, every year till we die. At Child Deck, we already know that this is going to happen. So the designer is not coming in when the budget has been decided. Designer is coming in way before we get to February 14th, so that part of what the designer wants to do gets considered in the budget. That's how it works. So the designer is not some person that is sitting and is saying like, oh yeah, when comms or marketing or strategy is done with the document, then I'll go on Figma. We don't work like that. Everybody does the work, because eventually, if the experience is going to feel connected, product designers, brand designers, marketing, everybody has to be there from the beginning. I mean, the only part where, for example, you don't need finance people. Like, yeah, they just give us the money when we've agreed. So you don't need those kind of people in those calls. But all the different angles that have to do with creativity, we all have to be there from the start, so that I don't design something as a brand designer, and then when I'm passing it off to products, they now start calling out things that they don't like. If the product designers were with me from the start, we would all agree, right? And then whatever it is that we make goes out. So yeah, I think that's how we work. Everybody is involved from the very start. We don't wait for briefs, basically. Yeah.
Thank you so much. A follow-up question on that is, when you're working on the campaign, how much does it need to be Nigerian versus how much does it need to just be globally relevant? And what I mean by this is, if you're going to try and submit an award for, and it has to be Nigerian context, many times to explain the Nigerian context is incredibly hard. For example, we're submitting for this award, and the copy was send money as easy as hey BC, which is like hey and BC. Contextually, it makes sense because you're in Nigeria, you know
Yeah.
BC is a name. But
Yeah.
like outside Nigeria, you have to explain that first of all, BC is a name, and then hey BC, okay, it makes sense. So, how much do you try to ground every single thing you do, and from a design marketing point into Nigerianness, where people see it, and do they see it and instantly feel like this is Nigerian, or that's not exactly important? Like, it's important that they get the message versus this has to be Nigerian in some quotes.
Okay, so I will start from what you described with the ABC thing. I think the first thing is you have to be fine with the fact that not everybody will get what you're trying to say. Like, that's the first thing. So, for example, ABC on OWO blew my mind. I'm Nigerian. I was like, I wish I did that. Do you understand? But someone who's Western, definitely, man, I don't mind explaining it to you. I don't expect you to get it. The same way, if a white comedian, if I'm watching some show on Netflix, they make cultural jokes that I don't get. I don't even laugh. Because I'm like, I don't know what you're saying, man. But when they make jokes that I get, of course, I laugh, right? So I think staying true to the Nigerianness of the work is what counts. And that's because, like, I mean, when I saw the talking points for the event today, there was one part that had to do with decision-making, habits, and culture. And when I saw that, I was just like, yeah, these are three things that, again, we've made sound like three separate things. But the decisions you make become your habits. Habitual living is culture. So it's the same thing. We're saying the same thing. So like for the Nigerian, or like being concerned about whether people will get the Nigerianness of the thing, I don't think that should be the problem. If what you're doing is true to whatever culture that you're from, what you need first is people from that culture to like, oh, that was great. And then that becomes the echo that people outside of that culture now start, oh, why are they saying this thing is great? And then they go look for context. Because like context is what will make the Nigerian see a design like ABC and be like, wow, like, yeah. I think that's it for me.
Please put your hands together for I was going to follow up, Solomon, same question, but with regards to industrial design and physicality and tangibility, how much effort do you think brands should put into ensuring that something is Nigerian? And is it even important that something looks Nigerian versus it just works? Do you understand the question?
Okay. I think this is very in line with the question that Abiola asked in the last panel in some way. And your take is very, very solid. I think there's like two sides to it. Yeah. Saying that if you design this thing, it is Nigerian is true, but maybe slightly idealistic. I understand that. But I also know that, see, I didn't say I think. I also know that, just like he said, habits become, decision becomes habits and habit become culture. Culture basically is mass adoption. Yeah. First of all, I'll get to the point. You don't do something on your own and then it's culture. Yeah, even in a company, the CEO's dress sense is not the company's culture. When people start to buy into that, talk and look like that, it becomes culture. Now, reverse engineering that from habit, decision, habit, culture. Now, the decisions you make are based on the challenges that you're facing. Yeah. If the work you're doing is actually solving problem, it will be contextual. For example, it rains in Lekki, everywhere is flooded. If I make something that makes people cross the water, blah, 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 that's a Lekki design. By default. It doesn't have to look like it. It is solving a problem for Lekki people in Lekki. So looking and feeling like it is add-on. Beauty is a function. Look and feel is a function. The primary thing is doing exactly what it is supposed to do. But for brands, yeah, it's not as easy to tell as product design because adoption for product is maybe 2,000 pieces all through your life. But brands, you want to gain everybody. Things like finding a middle ground between what looks like Nigerian design. Unfortunately, you still have to do things that look like Nigerian design. Yeah. You spoke about OP's design. Not exactly agree that it's terrible design.
Actually, I don't agree that it's
Yeah, I don't agree it's terrible design. Please, can somebody remind me of this thought? Also, I want to say that when people speak about Nigerian design, I'm so tired of people thinking about Nigerian design like you have to go back into the past to go and look for something that will become Nigerian design. You are Nigerian. You are now. How about you start making the Nigerian design based off Nigerian problems that's happening now? Afrobeat that we have now is not exactly what Fela did in his time. It has evolved. Yeah, people have adapted Afrobeat to different genres of music. It has changed. Yeah, so let's not look back into the past like, let's make a Nigerian design. Adinkra, where's Ankara patterns? Where's this boss? No, we are such a global people. Like people are wearing Ankara here. So how are you defining what the culture of everybody here is by Ankara fabric? I'm not saying that's not something. It is something, but that cannot be the only place that we look at for Nigerian design. Yeah, it can be contemporary. It can be Scandinavian. If you made it as Nigerian design, you're solving a Nigerian problem. It's Nigerian design. Like you said, they will catch up. Nobody explained Bauhaus movement to me. Nobody explained Scandinavian design. Nobody explained any of these things to me. You go on fucking anywhere and find it and read about it and then you apply it. But again, similar to what I was responding to Abiola is logic. If the logic cannot travel, there will never be a Nigerian design. So many people are doing things in Nigeria right now that are like strong material for visual language of a place. But the logic is not traveling. All that is traveling is the aesthetics. That's why I said we have lots of hands, but not a lot of minds. The practice of medicine is not just cutting someone on the table. It's also the theoretical part. The practice of it cannot exist without the theory of it. So as long as we reduce the output of design in this space to visual appeal, the logic will never travel. It's going to be reduced to this, and we're going to have a conversation about what is Nigerian design. Basically.
Sorry, just to add a bit to what Solomon said. I think that again, Nigerian design is a design done by a Nigerian. It's that simple. I want to refer to Joseph Hussein talking about how that sometimes when people see designs from Nigerians or Africans, they have like an expectation of how that design should be. Like when you look at what Joseph did, if you go on and say, oh, like, is this Nigerian design? You're asking the wrong question. A Nigerian design, it is a Nigerian design. It's really, design doesn't belong to anybody. Design is design. And maybe the word is design is one, so that you start to realize that like that's where that connection comes with, say, marketing and product and all of that thing. Design is how you put things together in its simplest description, so that even the engineer that writes code designs. So that, like, that's why when you look at code written by two different engineers, you can tell the difference. One might care. That caring is design. That's it. So it's not designs with Ankara patterns is Nigerian. And I think Solomon was saying something about not going to the past. Truly means is not going to the past and just picking one thing. Like our forefathers were geniuses. Like, don't even sleep on that. Like, the genius didn't just start. We were not the first set. Don't even start. Like, we've had geniuses like way before us, right? That have done things like, and when they did these things, they competed on global stages and then they were the best. So there's a lot of secrecy that you can go back to in the past and learn. But understand now, like, for those people, they were not designing like, oh, am I in Nigeria? They didn't even think of that. Like, I feel a type of way, I want to show it to the world. That is the Nigerian perspective. It's really that simple. Yeah.
Sorry,
Thank you so much.
Final ad. Promise. So just to add to what he said, he said going to the past. Again, disclaimer, I'm not saying don't go into the past for references. It's beautiful. But think about it. Really think about it. If we have to go to the past to look for design references that makes us feel like Nigerian design, what did they look back at? For Nigerian design. They looked at their present to be Nigerian designers. So look at your present to be Nigerian designers.
Yes. Nice one. Please put your hands together for them. Thank you very, very, very much. Without further ado, we're going to be having Joseph very soon. Let's just